my favorite stories was in Bogota, and there was a Spanish, I forget which Spanish painter it was, modern, it'll come to me, very modern art and everything like that. And all the kids, we took them. I was always, you know, volunteering to go on the field trips and everything. And one of the kids there, I mean, amazing, the artwork. And, you know, they were 6 years old or something like that. And I went over, to the teachers, and I said, oh my God, you guys, you have to see this child. It's incredible. He said, oh yeah, his father is a famous painter in Bogota. We already know. I said, okay. But you know, that's the role of the teachers. Oh my goodness, this child has a really, really good talent in this. Let's help him. Let's develop it. And I guess, wait a second, because, sorry, Martin Luther King wasn't finished.
Must be a commitment to the eternal principles of beauty, love, and justice. Well, like for none of us has been a crystal staff, we must keep moving. We must keep going. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl, but by all means, keep moving.
Yeah, we got to keep moving and keep moving and keep moving. So I guess that's, here's again my crown. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but again, a queen bee trumps an emperor who is wearing no clothes every time. So I'm gonna prepare my next presentation, and I'll hopefully get to that today. But do have a nice day. Please do stay safe, and please, 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 you know, wear your masks, keep distances. The numbers are rising, which means the death rates are going to rise. So this is not over. Oh my God. And Trump saying it's going to disappear by itself again. Again! Oh, this brings me to one other thing that I wanted to... Wait a second, I don't know if you can see this. Oh, this was too funny. Okay, so.
That's the thing about Donald Trump. Now let Donnie answer, because I know you're going to say Donald Trump's evil. That's the thing about Donald Trump. It's all in plain view. And I know people are saying there's a three-dimensional chess deal and Donald's just trying to do that. No, come on, stop. This is a guy that just blurts out whatever is in the front of his head at the time. He's a bad dude, but to your point, Joe, it's interesting. It's almost childlike, whereas you take the cookie, did you take the cookie before? No, I didn't take the cookie. Where he just genuinely doesn't think it's wrong. That's how demented he is, whatever word we want to attach to him, that in front of the entire world, well, why wouldn't I? Wouldn't everyone? So you could almost say, is he evil, or is there just no moral compass?
All right.
There's not even a compass there to even look at.
I want to take myself out of a box here. I never said he's evil, and my reaction is, oh, he's evil. My reaction to what happened the other night when he said that to George Stephanopoulos was, this is horrendous for our democracy. He is a national security threat. And what he does is not stupidity. What he does is not evil playing out before our eyes. What he does is he manipulates the truth. He desensitizes the American public and the world to what is right and wrong, and does things in plain sight. And the results are evil. What happens in a dictatorship, what happens when evil forces step in is this: slowly chipping away at our values, slowly chipping away at our democracy. And that, whether he knows it or not, whether he's planning it or not, whether he gives a damn or not, that's what's happening.
Well, just to clarify,
that's what I meant.
The lawyer that I am,
the lawyer that he is, oh my God. We have a cesspool of lawyers. ABA Clark report in 1970, 70% of the lawyers were incompetent. So what has everybody done since then? all the law schools, we'll get into this, the universities and everything like that, all the law schools have just flooded the markets with more and more idiots who don't understand the first thing about the law. I mean, 90% of the lawyers that I talk to, I have a better understanding of legal principles with one undergrad course in commercial law, contracts, writs, and torts than any of these guys do. I mean, basically, that was my original training. And now I saw Michelle Obama got a PhD from an honorary PhD or something like that. I'm like, my God, why isn't anybody giving me an honorary PhD in law? I know a hell of a lot more than any of them out there. Or economics, international economics. I mean, the IMF, I chew them up and spit them out. And all of the idiots are treating me like I'm, dirt under their feet. So anyway, but the point being here, they're right. And this is exactly what I got into earlier about the importance. He's acting like a child. And see, this is one of the things that, I know evil people. And I know, spoiled idiots and narcissists and all of that, everything like that. There is a difference between them. The evil person is really, like going through their head to hurt and destroy and everything like that. The narcissists like this, one of their problems, I mean, Donald Trump's brother died of alcoholism. And this is, I would love to I gotta look at a documentary on his mom. I mean, I have seen it on his parents and everything like that. But, this is one of the problems, the result of, spare the rod, spoil the child mentality of the past. Spanking has shown it just encourages, it's like, don't hit, whack. What message does that send to a child? And this is why early childhood development is so important, so that you don't end up with people like this, and who are born into families with money, and the father keeps on bailing them out, so everybody thinks he has a lot of money. See, I don't believe, this is the thing also, I don't believe that I just think Donald Trump, he's childlike. He doesn't, I agree with them. He doesn't think. It's all, and I know too many people like that, like pathological liars. If you ever dealt with pathological liars, you constantly have to be listening to their dialogue to figure out where the truth is. Because there'll be little smidgets there. So you got to distinguish it constantly, reality and fiction, reality and fantasy. And also, they come up with a lie. They want you to do something. Go to the store, or it doesn't matter what it is. They want you to do something. They'll come up with a lie at that moment to try and get you to do what they want you to do. So they'll forget. They'll forget what they said because it just pops into their head at the moment, and of course it pops out. And this is another reason it's easy, if you got a good memory like me, it's easy to catch them. Because you say, wait a second, you just said that, or you said it yesterday, you're I never said that. I mean, I love it when the pathological, I never said that, I never said I mean, they will look at you, if you didn't know them, you'd be convinced. Because they are convincing, because also they never remember having said it. So in their mind, they never said it, and they just go, from one lie to another, from one crisis to another, from one emergency to another. I mean, this is what I'm furious with the IMF, World Bank, UN, Bretton Woods initiatives. Instead of saying it all the time, repeating all of the Bretton Woods initiatives. And even the international development community. It's all crisis management. Central banks, crisis management. Congress, crisis management. Why? Because nobody is thinking about anything before they do it. And the consequences, the short term and the long term. And I mean, I'll get into Congress and what's going on up there, because it's the same crap, believe me. Up and down Pennsylvania Avenue, it doesn't matter where you go, it's the same crap. The Congress, one of the big problems with Congress, you got all sorts of these staffers and interns and staffers who think they are God's gift to the world. They're young kids just getting their door into the whole Washington cesspool, and usually either from the family knows, because this is state by state, people with lots of money and were donors, or else somebody who was involved in the campaigns. Well, the Democratic Party people and the Republican Party people who work in those campaigns, I mean, I'm going to have some real psychological examinations to give you the exact statistics on their narcissism, but I think it's over the top. I mean, it's got to be some of the worst in the world. I mean, I worked up on Capitol Hill in 81, from 81 to 85. And I was in the mail room. I was an intern opening mail and everything like that in the mornings. But, sometimes if the downstairs, the receptionist wasn't there, I would be there, or even my own phone if I answered it. But, the receptionist phone was the constituents and everything like that. Never would have entered my head to be so rude and arrogant to the staffers that are up there nowadays manning the phones. And I mean, if Patsy Geyer, we'll talk about Patsy Geyer in another one, if Patsy Geyer, who was the executive assistant and ran the office, if she ever heard you or ever got a complaint about a phone call like that, you would be raked over the coals. You wouldn't even want to, because really you had so much respect for that woman, you wouldn't even want to be in a position like that. So just from the example that she set, you would never pull that kind of crap. One of my favorites, this little girl, I'm going to see on the stand, Ocasio-Cortez receptionist. I mean, she was one of the worst of the worst. But all of the staffers, we go up there every year. Well, and I'm done. They started in 2010. I think the last lobbying I went was 2015. I was like, you guys, I'm done. Because all we do is come up here and, go to the meetings, and this is organized by a woman. You're just supposed to go into the meetings and not say anything. You're just supposed to be there as a prop. Because these ladies who organize at the Mothers of Lost Children and the California, Protective Parents Association. I appreciate Connie Valentine did a lot of stuff. But at the same time, and I forget the name of the woman who took it over. Now, after that, I was like, I'm done. Because you're supposed to go in there, and if I said one word in the meeting, shh. She was just there to get her photo. At first, it was the photo with the senator and the congressperson. Then, by 2015, they're just happy to get a photo with the staffer. Then, to go and show everybody in the state that they had been to Washington and gone up to Capitol Hill and met with a staffer. Oh, like, you guys, I got my photo taken with the senator when I was 17, and I wasn't so impressed. I mean, I was like, okay, thank you, that's nice. I mean, my Lord. And so I was just like, forget it. And every time we would go, every year it would be pretty much the same, Mikulski and Warren, and there was even a photo out there with me with Warren, Mothers of Lost Children. I mean, I got to sit down and have a real good talk with Elizabeth Warren. But you go, and it's a different young staffer kid who's just getting their foot on the door. So, of course, they just go, and I saw this back in the 80s. This is not new. So they get up there, they get their entry-level job, they stay for a year or two or whatever. Until then, they can find a job within the think tanks, the NGOs. Believe me, there's a whole market that's been produced for them, and it just keeps on growing and growing and growing and growing, of just NGOs and think tanks and all of that do absolutely nothing, blah 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 blah, and organize. You saw the World Bank meetings, the spring meetings, just incredible. All they do is get together for one meeting and other, and all of this hypocrisy. That goes back to the Michelle Obama and the gender violence and all they're doing to help and everything like that. I am taking the IMF Family Association, World Bank Family Network, UN Local Expat Spouse Association, FACO, and all of these expat wives clubs. I want an explanation of why they are covering up for all of my research and everything that I've exposed in the courts. Because they know about me. They know about my case. I mean, my lord, I worked in the IMF Family Association for 2 years. And I did such a good job and organized the place and got everything moving and everything like that. The incoming chair, Anne Beatrix Keller, went over to the IMF HR people, told them that I was useless, that I was charging overtime that wasn't, authorized and everything like that. She's up creek battle with that one. Because the overtime that I was doing, because the woman's a frickin' crazy idiot, it was usually about the Chronicles, and that was the overtime. And I mean, my God, ask the printing people, I forget what it's called, I call them up. Stop the press, because you weren't supposed to send it down until it was actually ready to go, because obviously you can imagine everybody starts doing it out of that place, the poor people won't be they'll go absolutely crazy. I would call them someday, but it got to be a joke. And this they accepted because it was the family association, and then we got a bunch of nitwits up there, in there with Anne Beatrix Keller, so, we're going to let it pass and let it slide, but it became to be a joke with the press people, the printers. So anyway, she got rid of me illegally. I told her when she fired me, I said, I will see you in court. This is illegal what you're doing. Not only is it illegal, it's immoral. Much more immoral than anything illegal you're doing here. I mean, my God, as one member said when she fired me and ousted me and everything and threw me out on the street again, once again, I couldn't find a job because anybody in 6 months would be afraid that I'd have their job if they, let me in the door. I mean, that is just vicious, vicious, vicious. I've had my back stabbed with these expat ladies and everything like that, and I got ousted as president of Bogota. The same bullshit. I guess I'm not supposed to swear, but when your income depends on your spouse, and you live in a nice house, and this is just volunteer work, who cares? I'll put up with it. But my God, if this is what I'm being paid a minimum wage to do this. And then she brought in some young kid, an expert, and put her contract. I mean, it boggles the mind that first HR and everybody and the board, because the entire board is sitting on problems. It boggles the mind that nobody said, this is disgusting. How can you do this to this woman? She comes in here, she cleans up everything. One of the ladies, she had been a retiree, she said, we've never had anybody better than you. I'm like, well, I know, that's Patsy Geyer who taught me how to do this. And believe me, I could do it in the Institute for Capacity Development and get that place cleaned up. I could do it. I offered to do it at the State Department as well when Undersecretary Kennedy stepped down. I sent a letter to Tillerson, and I said, you put me in as the Undersecretary of Management at the State Department. I promise I'll clean that place up, the administrative stuff, in 6 months or I'll quit. Of course, I never got a response. I could do the same thing over at the World Bank. Dr. Kim, with all of his, speeches and all of that stuff, Dr. Kim left. He left, about a year or so after those meetings. And he left saying that he could do more good in the private sector than as president of the World Bank. I mean, it's incredible. The UN, the head of the UN, World Bank, and IMF should be some of the 3 most powerful people in the world. But the bullying networks within the World Bank and the idiots, I mean, the IMF is bad. But the idiots, I mean idiots. And most of them, it's the secretaries and and I would say the women are worse than the men. But it's the entry level or lower level and stuff like that. And a lot of them have been there 20 years. They got their jobs through cronyism. Part of the problem is you have all of these people 20, 30 years who've gotten their jobs through cronyism. And, this is their big prize. Because, of course, a lot of them, they get housing paid for. They get their children's education, expensive schools, universities paid for. As long as the kid's still with the parents, taxpayers pay for all of that. So, of course, these are huge prizes that they're winning. And they don't want to let go of that. So they will do anything. They will kiss anybody's ass. They will manipulate. They will do anything to keep those jobs. And I would say 70-80% are idiots who have no right to be in these organizations. I mean, there was one woman at the Institute for Capacity Development right before I left. And I mean, this woman, I wouldn't even hire her as my maid. She's so stupid. And she said to me, maybe if you really apply yourself one day, you can become a secretary in the IMF. I mean, I was like, what planet does this idiot live on? I mean, incredible. And taxpayers are paying for all of this. And these girls sit around doing nothing or going to parties and complaining. Another one of my favorites was when somebody said, well, we should get to go to all of these the Davos and the World Economic Forum, and when they do the IMF, they usually do it the annual meetings. They'll rotate different countries, I think every 4 years or something like that. They want to be paid back. And this means flights, hotel rooms. I mean, believe me, Davos, World Economic Forum, and all of that stuff, I want an accounting. I want to see those numbers of how much money taxpayers are paying for these guys to go and schmooze and have extramarital affairs. That's when DSK, Dominique Strauss-Kahn, started apparently his affair with Piroska Nagy. 3 years before he got arrested for the whole sexual harassment or sexual assault stuff. So anyway, I mean, it's just a cesspool. And for example, Dr. Kim, he was at Dartmouth. He was the president of Dartmouth before that. He left there as well. Same type of thing, all of this, super rhetoric and everything like that. And he left. And one of the big problems at Dartmouth was the raping and the binge drinking and the sexual harassment and all of these issues and everything like that. He didn't clean it up there. He went to the World Bank. Same thing. Didn't clean that up. His wife got a letter from me. She is the honorary president of the World Bank Family Network. And Adele Malpass got a letter from me as well. Because I am holding these expat wives clubs responsible. Because they should be the moral authority within the organization in their homes. That's what a socialite woman does. Because I keep on telling them, I'm like, it doesn't matter what the laws say. It matters what the ruling elite women will let fly and will not let fly. I mean, Spain has the most utopian constitution with the penal code and civil code. I'll get into that in the next presentation. But utopian legal system, or almost. I got some changes I want to make, but utopian. And my lord, they haven't changed one bit from the time of Franco. It's made absolutely no difference, their constitution. And you know, unemployment figures, this is why, and all of Southern Europe, it's the same thing. This is why even after, you know, they became part of the European Union and injection of all of this money into it, it wasn't spent wisely, because believe me, I saw on the ground, because those are the years I was living in Spain, or, you know, back and forth on vacations, because that's where we go in the summer. You know, totally irresponsible spending of that stuff. And also, the ruling elite are worst narcissists I think I've ever seen. I mean, I already said about the Banco Bilbao Vizcaya, Argentaria now, wives. I mean, my lord, they just disgusted me. But then there's the Caviedes family, Pozuelo family. I'll get into that again. So it really matters what the ruling elite will, you know, what they set as the norms of acceptable and not acceptable. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate in Washington. One right after another, one right after another. You know, all sorts of people. I've knocked on their doors. And believe me, I got no problem. You know, people, oh, you would walk up to the president you would walk up to God's door and knock on it? I said, yes, I would. Why not? If that's what that was needed, that's what I'm going to do. I mean, this whole, oh my God, when I got into, saw this results-based management approach that they have you have to examine stuff under human rights standards. I mean, I was like, you guys gotta be kidding me. Nobody in this town knows how to do anything by results. And human rights standards? Oh God, this is Nazism. I mean, you guys don't understand any of that. And since I left the IMF, or since I was ousted from the IMF, I've been working in restaurants. I mean, you talk about crazy. Go on to Open Table, Calari Taverna, for the Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2020. There's a hostess shouting at somebody. The place was a disaster. I mean, all sorts of bad reviews and everything like that. And one of them says the hostess that was shouting at somebody. And she would disappear for like 20 minutes and not seat anybody and have people going down out the door. I was like, of course, because it was a disaster in the kitchen. None of the tables were being reset. I mean, everything was a disaster. Because you got one of the idiot managers in the kitchen, who shouldn't be a manager, creating chaos. Then I go to the other manager who's supposed to be the floor manager for that night. And I tell him, I'm like, look, you gotta get the tables reset. You go and get the bussers, you tell them to reset the tables, because I can't sit people until the tables are reset. You know what I did? Walked around like this. So what did I do? Bussers, I need table reset. So then I'm running around, trying to find, it was a scavenger hunt. Oh, here's a fork, here's a knife. Now I gotta find a glass, and, you know, for two. And of course they don't have enough, you know, they don't have enough stock, so, and nothing was getting piled. I mean, and there was no reason for it. Absolutely no reason for it. I think the dinner started early. I think it was like 5 hours or something like that, and we didn't do that huge a number. I mean, we sometimes do almost that number at lunch. So there was no reason. I mean, okay, at lunch you don't have quite so many courses, but still, there was no reason for it. It was all spaced out, and I just, you know, it infuriated me, because I've told the owners, I said, you put me in here as manager, and I will clean this place up in a second. One of my favorite stories about this book They have praise consultants now. This is I mean, HR has gone wacko, really, really wacko. And part of it is the alpha dominance that have infiltrated there and everything like that. But so praise consultants, and one of the praise consultants would come in and throw confetti. And I told everybody, and because everybody's sick of it, you know, the bussers, the waiters, everybody. I told everybody, I said, oh my God, if I ever come in one day and start throwing confetti and saying, praise, praise, everybody, praise. I said, call the people in the white coats and say, we finally did it, we finally did it, we broke her, she's lost it. I mean, that's not how you manage people. First, people are doing their jobs, you let them do their jobs. And if people are you know, hiding their phones, oh God. I mean, I'm so tired of having people glued to their phones. This is an addiction. Or, you know, just standing around, you know, like when there's work to be done. I mean, I don't know, praise. You move your ass and you move it quick. What the hell are you doing standing around for? You know your job, and that's another problem. Train these people. I mean, these poor kids, these poor people. I mean, when I've gone into some of these places and gone through training, I'm like, okay, what do you guys expect from me? My favorite was one interview at one place. I only lasted for the training period. It was the Daily Grill, because the people are crazy. Absolutely. I mean, this corporate, you know, management in the restaurant business, it just exposes the dysfunctionality of this whole managerial. You got managers all over the place. After the February Valentine's Day, they brought in a new manager, because one of the problems is there was a general manager. She left, Rita, and so it was just these two underling managers, if you will, who have been fighting for power and building alliances rather than doing their job ever since she left. And I mean, just chaos. And I keep on telling everybody in there, I said, well, can you understand why a dictatorship is better than chaos? I mean, of course, a dictatorship is not ideal, and that's not what you want, and that's not anything that I would ever do if I was put in as manager. But you do need somebody who is overseeing things, who understands what the big picture is. It doesn't matter if it's a small restaurant or the World Bank or the State Department or something. You do need somebody at the top who understands what the mission is, who is only as good as the people who he surrounds himself with or she surrounds themselves with. So, you know, your people are a bunch of idiots, and from the old guard, the first thing you do is get rid of them. You have the power, you have the authority, well, do it. You're put into power to make a change. Well, do it. Instead of saying, oh, well, I gave it a good try.